Being able to gain this particular unit via recognition is perhaps one of the most difficult for people. Not because it's particularly hard, but if I could say one thing about this unit, it's this. It's harder than people think to get it right, and I believe that's largely due to some of the language that's being used. So let's take a look. What's this unit about? Well, we need to see 3 tools, and we need to see that you've validated those tools. But when it comes to this unit, the most important thing is to ensure that you provide everything we need. And a lot of that comes down to the language and what the meaning of this word tools is. So let's look at that first. The first thing to get out of the way is this. A tool is not the same as an instrument. An assessment tool is all the stuff that you'll need to assess a complete unit of competency. As this list shows, it will include all of the instruments, including instructions to candidates. It will include all of the marking guides and instructions to assessors. It will include an assessment matrix or mapping document against the unit of competency. That's going to show which parts of which instruments assess which parts of the unit. And it's also going to show evidence of trialing and validating the tool. So that's what a tool is. That being the case, what do you need to send in? Well, for this unit you need to submit all of those items. This is where many students fall short. They only send in the instruments that are used. Maybe they'll send in some mapping, but we need the whole tool. We need the whole kit and caboodle, but you don't just need to submit them once. You need to have to submit it 3 times. That's because you have to show that you've developed the entire tools, not just the instruments, for 3 separate units. And remember, these 3 units have to be at 3 different AQF levels. Now, how can we get that organised? Well, we'll help with that. In the evidence guide document, and also in the coursework document if you're going that way, there's a nifty little table, this one here. Okay, it's basically got 3 rows, 1 for each tool. As you go through the table, then just pop the file names in for your document. So if we look at this example here, I've put a little screenshot of my folders here. So we can see tool 1, I've created a folder for TAE DEL401. That's the first unit I'm going to provide a tool for. I've got instrument 1 with mapping, that happens to fit here. Instrument 1 with mapping is the file name, same as down there. Instrument 2 with mapping, same thing there. Marking guides and instructions to assessors are here and here. And because of the mapping, the assessment matrices for these particular units, tools, are embedded within the instruments, I've just put those titles in there again. Okay, so these tables help us to make sure that we keep everything together and make sure we have everything. So in this particular example, I don't even need to open your files to see what's there. I can see from the file names that this particular submission contains 2 instruments, 1, 2, and that we have everything we need except for evidence of trialing or validating the tool. So the takeaway message here is to use this table, fill it out, match these up with your own file names, come up with 3 folders, 1 for each of the units for which you have tools, and if you make sure that you have all of the parts for these 3 separate units, then your submission will be on track. Obviously here, if I was submitting this, it wouldn't be ready to submit because I don't have an item here for this validation. Speaking of validation, it's worth taking a moment here to point out what we're after, since it's very easy to fall short in this area. In the simplest terms, all we need to see is that you've validated each tool, ideally against the principles of assessment. If it's a post-validation, then you can also validate it against the rules of evidence. You can do it by yourself or you can involve others. If you do involve others, and you were the chair or the leader of the meeting, then that can also be used for the unit ASS501. So now let's have a look at a little example here. Okay, I'll pull this one across for you. So here is one page, or part of a page, from some meeting notes. Okay, it's pretty rough, but that's okay, because what I can see here is that each of the items has actually been considered. Okay, we can see comments against the items, and over here on the left hand side we can see in this particular example they've linked comments over here with recommendations over here. So if we jump down and have a look at the last page of this particular document, understand that I haven't included all the pages here just to save you some time. I'll try and make this smaller so it fits. Here we go. Sorry about that. You can see here that at the end we have our recommendations. So over here on this page I showed you before, we had recommendation 3 and 5, and then on our validation report, recommendation 3, whatever it means, integrate project requirements, blah blah blah. And so we can see here for this particular example that we have not just gone through and marked yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 okay, but we've given some good examples for it. It's always a bit sus if all items on a checklist are just ticked as yes and no commentary is added. It's not a good look, and it's something that auditors can always pick up on. So if you provide a bit of meat with the validation documents, you'll be much better off. As with all these guides, this has just been a quick intro. Be in touch if you'd like to talk through your own situation. As always, we're happy to help.